Matt Walksler here from Wheels Through Time. We're back outside of the restoration shop today. This week, we're highlighting Class C racing motorcycles, machines that raced on dirt tracks, Daytona beach races, TT races across America. Today, we're highlighting two incredibly historic motorcycles, Babe Tancrede's 1939 Harley-Davidson WLDR and his 1946 Harley-Davidson WRTT. So each of these bikes owned and raced by the same fella out of Rhode Island. Babe Tancrede was one of the kind of premier dominant racers of the 1930s and 40s. He was a Rhode Island Raider, teammates actually with the famous Ben Campanelli. Ben Campanelli actually won the second and third Daytonas in 1938 and 39. Won on a 39 WLDR very much like this. In 1940, Babe Tancrede won the 1940 Daytona race on this, 200 miles, on the beach, and this machine is the one that brought home the checkered flag. So absolutely incredible motorcycle, 45 cubic inch. The WLDR was a special racing model offered by Harley-Davidson starting in 1937. You see the Class C races. Class C was actually started as kind of ride-to-track racing. It's kind of referred to as everyman's racing. So at a time where early in the 1920s all the way through the early and mid-1930s, the AMA focused on professional racing, so big budgets, factory professional riders, really low production special machines, actually machines far different than standard road models of the day. When they came out with a Class C in 34, they actually determined that the riders had to ride to the track, the machines had to be stripped road models, and actually owned by the guys that raced them. So the bike had to be registered in your name. Now, the Harley-Davidson WLDR in 1939 kind of took a new direction. By 1939, the racing had become competitive enough and widespread enough that the Harley-Davidson and Indian both started to debut special versions of their WLDR model. Now, this example, there's probably 1939, I'd say there's probably about 150 produced this year, and this example set up for the Daytona race specifically. So big gas tanks. Now on your Harley-Davidson 45 cubic inch machines, traditionally you have an oil tank on the right side, a gas tank on the left side. For the Daytona beach races, Harley-Davidson actually offered this special setup down here, monster cast aluminum oil tank, large capacity, allowed them to run quite a bit more fuel up in the tank. So both left and right tank are now gas tanks on this particular model. So again, 200-mile road race, 200-mile beach race, I should say. So half the race was on the beach, half the race was down A1A. So it's 2 miles up the beach, 2 miles down A1A. And this machine would have really been top equipment at the time. So 1939 Harley-Davidson's WLDR kind of incorporated some new things into the engine. You see right down this way, there's the front mount baby Bosch magneto. Prior to this, about midway through 1939, all the machines out of the Harley-Davidson factory were battery ignition. They started allowing special racing components in 39, hence Harley-Davidson put the front mount baby Bosch, made by the Bosch company, magneto, right up front, in front of that rear cylinder. This engine is also a ball bearing engine. So from the factory, all four cams, 1, 2, 3, 4, sit on ball bearings. This machine is actually set up with a ball bearing left and right case too. So the whole crankshaft is also ball bearing. Now what you've got, 1939 WLDR, that's the big fin cylinders. It's the first year for the large fin cylinders. So quite a bit of extra cooling. Monster aluminum heads. At the time, all these, prior to 1939, all of the Harley-Davidson flatheads had real kind of short cast iron heads. They're heavy. Fin arrangement was quite a bit different. The big, tall aluminum heads, high compression setup was new for 1939, and again, was really kind of raced all the way through the WR era with the big aluminum heads. So this machine was actually acquired out of the Jack Chester estate. Jack Chester was Babe Tancrede's tuner. So this machine was in a bit of dilapidated condition, missing a few components. My dad bought the machine, I think it was 2006, 2007, brought the bike back to Wheels Through Time and did a nice conservation on this, entirely rebuilt engine, entirely rebuilt the transmission, but left as much of the patina of this bike as he could. So the machine really remains in virtually as raced condition, and we're gonna fire it up here real shortly. So WRTT, excuse me, the WR over this way, the WLDR Daytona Beach Race, you still need brakes. A lot of these machines were set up brakeless. A lot of your WRs for flat tracking, no brakes on the front, no brakes on the rear, just spool hubs, ball bearings, both front and rear. Each of these bikes are TT versions of their type, so they're set up with front brakes and rear brakes. You gotta start, you gotta stop. Daytona Beach Race, if you can imagine flying 100 miles an hour up the beach and having to slam on the brakes, cut a U-turn essentially and head down A1A. So we're gonna crank this bike up. Should be fairly easy starting position. We've got the oil in the tank. Gas tank is actually filled up on the left side here. Ought to be a couple choke kicks and one to go. So this thing with this big long WLDR style pipe makes some absolutely great noise. And the bike just makes an incredible sound. Actually had an opportunity to ride this bike at the Daytona Speedway in 2009 and got it up to about 85 miles per hour. Absolute ton of fun. Runs like the day it was parked. Now, when my dad bought this bike, I actually didn't know that the machine had won Daytona in 1940. Through looking through some old photos, he's actually spotted Tancrede in the winner's circle holding a big trophy sitting on his bike, and one of the big telltale signs was it had these 1939 Daytona large gas tanks with original paint, 1939 paint scheme, but they had the 1940 emblem. So this emblem here, the raised stamped emblem, didn't come out until 1940. These set up right there on the 39 original paint gas tanks. So really pretty incredible. Caused my dad to do some serial number research, and actually through researching the serial numbers of the racers back then was able to determine that this bike was Babe's Daytona winner from 1939. So really, really neat stuff. Proud to have it here on display at Wheels Through Time, almost as raced condition. So the 46 WR. Now, in 1946, Harley-Davidson made about 100 WRs. It was just post-World War II, so 43, 44, 45, they didn't make any racing machines. In 46, they made a limited run of 100 of these bikes. This one, again, is set up with TT Racing front brake, rear brake, foot pegs, and Somper-style suicide clutch. Again, it's a 3-speed. Now, in 1941, when they debuted the WR, they actually came out with a slightly different clutch arrangement, slightly different transmission gearing setup. So a lot of the WRs were actually set up with a much taller first gear. And for those of you guys that are ridden Harley WR road models, or excuse me, WL road models, big gap in between second and third gear. It's almost like starting over. So the thing about the WRs is in between each gear, I think my friend Ralph Camp, he's kind of the premier transmission builder for Harley-Davidson 45 racing machines. I believe Ralph told me on a stock machine, it's a 30% drop in RPMs when you shift. So when you shift from second into third, your RPM drops 30%, knocks you out of the power band altogether. On the WRs, they drop 18%. So when you're mashing from second gear into third gear, you only drop 18% of your RPMs. You're still in the power, and it just absolutely accelerates like you wouldn't believe. So this bike is Babe's very last racing bike, Probably raced this motorcycle into the early 1950s. It's the bike that he retired on. And again, special machine. We're cranking up both of them for you today so you can get a little bit of an idea of the different sound and the different capabilities. So little bit more primitive. Again, they're both 45 cubic inch flathead racing machines, but by the time the WR got to this level, it was producing considerably more power. Ball bearing engines, crankcase, ball bearings, cams, ball bearings. You notice it's got the big Wyco racing magneto here. This thing's put upward of 30,000 volts out. Really incredible stuff. Skinny little WRTT racing tanks, little turn down handlebars. One of the neat pieces on this is a quarter turn quick throttle. So this would be an aftermarket component that racers would put on their bike, and rather than have to grab a full fistful of throttle, you can just wick it and you're opening the throttle almost wide open every time you twist the wick. So we're gonna get this thing fired up here right now. I do have to pull the air cleaner off. This is an MR style racing carburetor. So if you check it out, and one of the neat things is, well, anytime you look at some of these ASD race motorcycles, you can just see all the tiny things and all the little bits of work that the racer did to make this bike fit them, to make it operate better, to make it better for the race that they were headed to. So the way that they've set this up, you see the screen in here, this is all custom. Now there would be holes on the back of this backing plate that are about a third of the size. All the air on these all the air, excuse me, that gets pulled into the engine actually is pulled around the back side of this backing plate here. So what he's done is enlarged the holes, screened it off for the filter, so he doesn't have to run the big filter unit in the cover, but you get quite a bit more airflow into that carburetor. Now again, aluminum carburetor, MR4 style, so there's no choke plate. So the way that we fire this bike, now the gas is on, you can see it's got a little bit of a drip to it. I got a rag here, and we'll choke it to get a little fuel into the throat. Ooh, and it's ready to go. It's right there. All right. Should be one to go. What a machine. 1946 Harley-Davidson WR. Thing is incredibly snappy, completely different sound than the 39. And if you can just imagine holding this thing wide open, going 100 miles an hour down the backstretch, must have been quite an experience. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to be firing more Class C racing machines up. Make sure you guys ask about these machines next time you head to Wheels Through Time. They're on display here for all time. If you guys are enjoying the Drive for History, check out driveforhistory.com, wheelsthroughtime.com. Help make a contribution today and fuel the museum that runs. Remember, everything that you guys do helps us keep preserving history for generations to come. So check out our lifetime membership. Check out our 1939 Harley-Davidson raffle. It's coming up November 14th. We're going to be giving away a motorcycle. Thanks for everything that you guys do for us, and we'll keep on keeping on.